Listen to me, my friend. There comes a point in your life where you must stop talking about what you could have done, should have done, or might do someday. The world doesn't reward intentions. It rewards execution. No one claps for the man who almost did it. No one remembers the woman who had a great idea but never moved. Life is not waiting for you to get ready. It's moving with or without you. So get up, face the mirror, and tell yourself, no excuses, get it done. Because your dream won't work unless you do. You see, too many people are trapped in the comfort of their own excuses. They say, I don't have enough time, but they waste hours scrolling through other people's lives. They say, I don't have enough money, but they spend on things that bring no growth. They say, I'm not ready yet. But the truth is, they're just afraid to start. Every excuse is a lie you tell yourself to protect your comfort zone. But greatness never grows in comfort. Discipline, sacrifice, and consistency, those are the bricks of destiny. Myles Munroe once said that the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but a life without purpose. Purpose dies when excuses live. Excuses bury dreams before they ever take their first breath. So today, make a decision to stop being your own obstacle. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret will follow you forever. So when you feel tired, when your mind whispers, not today, remember this: champions aren't made when it's easy. They're made when they push through the storm, when no one is watching, when every bone says quit, but the spirit says go. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Make the move, take the risk, and build while it's raining. The world is moved by doers, not dreamers. No excuses. Get it done, because your destiny depends on it. Every time you make an excuse, you silently kill a piece of your potential. You might not notice it immediately, but it dies slowly, quietly, with every I'll do it tomorrow, with every I don't have time, and with every maybe later. Excuses are poison to progress. They sound harmless because they dress themselves in reason, but underneath they are the chains that hold you where you are. People don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they find comfort in excuses. Excuses are the stories we tell ourselves to feel better about not moving forward. We convince ourselves that the timing isn't right, that we need more resources, that others have it easier. But the truth is, life is not unfair. It's just revealing who's truly willing to do what it takes. Think about it. How many times have you said you'd start something next Monday? The gym, a new project, a dream you've been nurturing in your heart. You were full of passion, full of vision, but then Monday came and the excuses followed. I'm tired. I'll start next week. I need to figure things out first. One by one, those excuses stacked up like bricks, building a wall between you and the life you could have lived. And that wall grows taller every day you give in to your comfort. Look around you. How many dreams have been buried under excuses? How many songs were never sung, books never written, ideas never born? The cemetery is full of people who had potential greater than you can imagine, but they waited for the perfect moment. They waited until things felt right, and they died waiting. Excuses give you permission to stay the same while convincing you that you're being logical. They're the illusion of control, telling yourself you're being smart when in reality you're just scared. Let's take a simple example from daily life. Imagine two friends, both have the same dream, to start a small business. One says, I'll start when I save enough money, when I have more knowledge, when things settle down. The other says, I'll start now with what I have and learn along the way. A year later, the first one is still planning, still waiting, still perfecting his excuses. The second one has made mistakes, lost money, failed more than once, but he's grown, learned and built momentum. The one who acted is closer to success, not because he's smarter, but because he refused to hide behind an excuse. That's the difference between dreamers and doers. Dreamers talk, doers execute. Excuses sound soft, but they are ruthless. They rob you of your confidence, your fire, and your belief in yourself. Every time you excuse yourself from growth, you teach your mind to settle for less. You train your spirit to accept mediocrity. And soon it becomes your identity. You start saying things like, that's just how I am, or maybe I'm not meant for this. No, that's not who you are. That's who your excuses have made you. You were born with unlimited potential, but you've been negotiating it away for comfort, fear, and laziness. Think of the athletes who train while others sleep. They have the same pain, the same doubts, the same fatigue, but they don't allow excuses to rule them. When it rains, they train. When they're tired, they push. When they fail, they adjust and go again. Their results are not miraculous. They're simply the product of consistency without excuses. You see, talent opens the door, but discipline keeps you inside. And discipline cannot exist in the presence of excuses. Even in your personal life, excuses destroy potential relationships, opportunities, and trust. How many times have you said, I was going to call, I was too busy, or I'll make it next time? Each excuse chips away at your integrity. People stop believing in you because deep down, you've stopped believing in yourself. Excuses make you unreliable to others and to your own future. The moment you accept one excuse, you invite 10 more. And soon, it becomes natural to justify everything that isn't working. Life doesn't reward excuses, it rewards effort. Success doesn't care about how difficult your journey is. It only respects results. Excuses are invisible anchors. They keep your ship tied to the dock while others sail toward their destiny. And here's the cruel truth. Life doesn't slow down for your reasons. While you're busy explaining why you haven't started, someone else is living the life you dreamed of. Some people blame time. But everyone has the same 24 hours. The difference is not in the clock, it's in the choice. Others blame circumstances. But there are people who started with nothing, no support, no resources, no recognition, and still built empires because they refused to make excuses. Success begins the day you stop explaining why you can't and start finding ways to make it happen. If you want to know how strong your potential is, look at how many excuses you're willing to kill. The fewer excuses you keep, the more powerful your life becomes. The truth is, every excuse has a cost, and that cost is your destiny. So when your mind tells you, it's too hard, remind yourself that easy never changed anyone. When your body says, I'm tired, remember that tiredness is temporary, but the reward lasts forever. When fear whispers, what if you fail? Answer boldly, what if I fly? The people who achieve greatness aren't those who never had obstacles. They're the ones who refuse to let their obstacles become excuses. The same fire that can burn you can also forge you. It depends on what you choose to believe. Life will always test you with difficulty, with doubt, with delay. But you must stand firm and say, no excuse will live in me, because excuses destroy potential, and the world doesn't need another dream deferred. It needs another fighter who refuses to quit. Intentions don't build empires, actions do. Everyone has good intentions. Everyone says, I want to change my life, I want to do better, I want to become successful. But wanting and doing are two completely different worlds. The road to success is littered with the bones of those who meant well, but never acted. Life doesn't honor your plans, it honors your actions. You can pray, plan, and prepare all you want, but until you take that first step, your dream remains a fantasy. Action is the language of commitment, the proof of belief. It's easy to talk about what you're going to do. It's easy to imagine success in your mind, but the real question is, what are you doing right now to move closer to it? Many people spend their whole lives waiting for the perfect moment to begin. They say things like, when the timing is right, I'll start, or when I have more resources, I'll go for it. But the timing will never be perfect. Conditions will never be ideal. There will always be something missing, some reason to delay. And that's where most people fail. They wait so long that they lose their hunger. The truth is, the perfect moment is the one you decide to act. Every dream starts messy. Every beginning is imperfect. The people who win are those who take the first step even when they're scared, even when they don't feel ready. Because movement creates clarity and action creates confidence. Think about this. You can stand in front of a mirror and tell yourself 1,000 times that you'll get in shape, that you'll eat better, that you'll start tomorrow. But until you pick up your shoes and walk out the door, nothing changes. Intention doesn't burn calories, action does. You can dream of writing a book, visualize it, even buy the perfect notebook and pens. But until you sit down and write the first sentence, that book will never exist. It's not what you intend to do that defines you, it's what you actually do. People don't remember your dreams, they remember your results. Every great story in life is written by people who acted while others were waiting. Look around you. Every successful entrepreneur, athlete, or leader started by doing something small and consistent. They didn't know all the answers. They just took the step in front of them. And through action, they learned, they adjusted, they grew. While others were still talking, they were building. While others were making excuses, they were creating opportunities. The difference between an average person And a great one is not talent, it's execution. Too many people mistake motion for progress. They plan endlessly, attend seminars, talk about strategies, take notes, but they never actually apply anything. They feel productive because they're busy thinking. But thinking doesn't produce results. It's like rocking in a chair. You're moving, but you're going nowhere. Planning has its place, but it becomes poison when it replaces action. The world is full of intelligent people who never rise because they never execute. Knowledge without action is potential wasted. Consider a farmer. He can study the soil, analyze the weather, and plan the perfect planting season. But if he never plants the seed, no harvest will ever come. All his research and knowledge mean nothing without the act of sowing. That's how life works. Your dream is a seed, but only action puts it into the ground. And the longer you wait, the drier the soil becomes. Sometimes you just have to plant it and trust that growth will follow. The power of action transforms everything. When you move, life moves with you. When you take the first step, doors you didn't even see before begin to open. Action activates blessings, opportunities, and strength that intentions alone can't touch. Every time you act, you send a message to the universe that you're serious about your destiny. That's when life starts responding. In daily life, this truth is visible everywhere. Someone says, I want to learn a new skill. And another says, I'll start today. One talks a year later, the talker still dreams, and the doer has mastered the skill. The difference isn't luck, it's discipline. Success doesn't visit the ones who hope, it visits the ones who work. Action attracts success like a magnet. You can't chase it with words, you must chase it with motion. Action also builds faith. When you start moving toward your goal, even if it's slow, your belief grows. Because every small win shows you that it's possible. That's how momentum is created, not by talking about change, but by doing something about it every single day. Small, consistent actions done daily will beat big intentions that are never executed. Don't underestimate the power of simple steps. It's the small disciplines practiced over time that shape extraordinary lives. Imagine someone sitting in a car, engine running, GPS set, knowing exactly where they want to go, but never pressing the accelerator. That's what intention without action looks like. You can have all the direction in the world, but if you never move, you'll stay parked in the same place forever. Your dream deserves movement. Your life deserves proof that you meant what you said. Sometimes you won't feel ready, and that's okay. You're not supposed to feel ready, you're supposed to begin. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's acting despite it. Fear fades when you face it. Confidence grows when you move. Every step forward strengthens your spirit. And soon you'll realize that the thing you were afraid of was never as big as the excuse you made for it. Remember, action is not just physical, it's emotional, mental, and spiritual. It means aligning your thoughts, your energy, and your focus with your purpose. It means showing up for yourself even on the days you don't feel like it. It means doing what's necessary, not just what's comfortable. Because comfort is where dreams die, and effort is where destiny is born. So stop saying own day, because own day is not on the calendar, you have today. This moment, this breath. The most successful people you admire aren't special, they're just consistent. They decided that their dreams deserved more than intention. They deserved execution. Action over intention isn't just a phrase, it's the law of transformation. Once you start moving, nothing remains the same. Comfort is the most silent killer of dreams. It doesn't come with noise, it doesn't scream or warn you. It whispers, you're fine where you are. And that whisper is deadly. Because once you start believing that you're fine, you stop pushing, you stop stretching, you stop growing. Comfort tells you to stay in bed when your vision tells you to get up. Comfort tells you to take it easy when your purpose tells you to fight harder. Comfort keeps you safe, but safe never made anyone great. Nothing extraordinary was ever born in comfort. Every breakthrough, every success, every transformation came from a place of discomfort, struggle, and risk. Growth is not supposed to feel good. Growth hurts. It's uncomfortable. It's lonely. It's uncertain. But that pain, that struggle, that stretching, it's the sign that you're evolving. Think of how a seed becomes a tree. First, it must be buried in darkness. It must crack open, break apart, and push through the soil before it ever sees the light. If the seed could talk, it would scream in pain. But without that breaking, there would be no blooming. That's how life works. To rise, you must be willing to be broken. To grow, you must leave what feels safe. Look around you in daily life. You'll see people who had great potential but chose comfort over courage. They had dreams, but the couch felt softer. They had plans, but the bed felt warmer. They had goals, but fear told them to wait. And every day they waited, their dreams grew colder. They told themselves they were resting, but in reality they were rusting. Because when you stop challenging yourself, you stop changing. And when you stop changing, you stop living. There's a story of a young man who wanted to become a great speaker. He watched videos, read books, took notes, but he never stood up to speak. One day his mentor asked him, "Why haven't you started?" He said, "I'm waiting until I'm confident enough." The mentor smiled and said, "Confidence doesn't come before the act, it comes after." And that's the truth. You can't grow stronger by avoiding the weight. You grow stronger by lifting it. You can't learn to swim by standing on the shore. You learn by stepping into the water. The fear, the uncertainty, the discomfort, that's where transformation happens. People often say they want change, but they resist the very process that brings it. They want success without sacrifice, growth without pain, reward without risk. But comfort and growth cannot live in the same room. One has to leave for the other to enter. If you choose comfort today, you choose regret tomorrow. And regret is a pain far greater than discomfort. Comfort feels good now, but it costs you your future. Discomfort feels painful now, but it builds you for tomorrow. Think about a butterfly. Before it becomes one, it's trapped inside a cocoon. To break free, it must struggle. If someone helps it by cutting the cocoon open, the butterfly will die because it never developed the strength to fly. The struggle is not punishment, it's preparation. Your discomfort is not a sign that you're failing, it's proof that you're growing. The pressure you feel, the fear that challenges you, the situations that stretch you, those are the tools life uses to shape your greatness. In everyday life, you can see this pattern. A student who stays up late to study, instead of scrolling through social media, grows in discipline. A worker who chooses to learn a new skill, instead of relaxing after work, grows in value. A person who dares to face rejection, instead of staying silent, grows in courage. The more you embrace discomfort, the wider your life expands. Because every time you step beyond what's comfortable, your world gets bigger. Comfort makes you feel safe, but it also makes you small. It's a beautiful prison. It gives you warmth, but it takes away your wings. People stay in toxic jobs, unhealthy relationships, and stagnant environments because they fear the unknown. They say, "At least I know what to expect here." But that's not living. That's surviving. The unknown is where the magic happens. It's where new opportunities, new strengths, and new versions of you are waiting. But you'll never meet them if you never leave your comfort zone. Life rewards the brave, not the comfortable. Every person who achieved something remarkable did it by stepping into discomfort. The entrepreneur who risked everything to start a business, the artist who faced criticism to share their work, the leader who stood alone for what was right, they all chose growth over comfort. They understood that comfort is seductive, but it keeps you average. Greatness demands discomfort. Success is uncomfortable because it requires you to do what most people won't. When you face discomfort, your mind will try to convince you to stop. It will whisper, "Why are you doing this? It's too hard, take a break." That's when you must remind yourself that comfort is not your friend, it's your enemy. Comfort is trying to keep you from the life you deserve. Every time you push through discomfort, you silence that voice of limitation. Every time you resist the urge to quit, you strengthen your spirit. Growth feels like pain before it feels like progress. It feels like confusion before it feels like clarity. But if you keep moving, keep believing, keep pushing, one day you'll look back and realize that every difficult moment was building something inside you. You are being stretched, molded, refined into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. So when life gets uncomfortable, don't run from it. Lean into it. Discomfort is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's proof that you're on the path of transformation. It means you're stepping out of what's familiar and stepping into what's possible. Because the truth is, nothing grows in comfort zones. Only the brave, the willing, and the persistent ever see what's beyond. Comfort is the most silent killer of dreams. It doesn't come with noise. It doesn't scream or warn you. It whispers, "You're fine where you are." And that whisper is deadly. Because once you start believing that you're fine, you stop pushing, you stop stretching, you stop growing. Comfort tells you to stay in bed when your vision tells you to get up. Comfort tells you to take it easy when your purpose tells you to fight harder. Comfort keeps you safe, but safe never made anyone great. Nothing extraordinary was ever born in comfort. Every breakthrough, every success, every transformation came from a place of discomfort, struggle, and risk. Growth is not supposed to feel good. Growth hurts. It's uncomfortable, it's lonely, it's uncertain. But that pain, that struggle, that stretching, it's the sign that you're evolving. Think of how a seed becomes a tree. First, it must be buried in darkness. It must crack open, break apart, and push through the soil before it ever sees the light. If the seed could talk, it would scream in pain, but without that breaking, there would be no blooming. That's how life works. To rise, you must be willing to be broken. To grow, you must leave what feels safe. Look around you in daily life. You'll see people who had great potential but chose comfort over courage. They had dreams, but the couch felt softer. They had plans, but the bed felt warmer. They had goals, but fear told them to wait. And every day they waited, their dreams grew colder. They told themselves they were resting, but in reality they were rusting. Because when you stop challenging yourself, you stop changing. And when you stop changing, you stop living. There's a story of a young man who wanted to become a great speaker. He watched videos, read books, took notes, but he never stood up to speak. One day his mentor asked him, "Why haven't you started?" He said, "I'm waiting until I'm confident enough." The mentor smiled and said, "Confidence doesn't come before the act, it comes after." And that's the truth. You can't grow stronger by avoiding the weight. You grow stronger by lifting it. You can't learn to swim by standing on the shore. You learn by stepping into the water. The fear, the uncertainty, the discomfort, that's where transformation happens. People often say they want change, but they resist the very process that brings it. They want success without sacrifice, growth without pain, reward without risk. But comfort and growth cannot live in the same room. One has to leave for the other to enter. If you choose comfort today, you choose regret tomorrow. And regret is a pain far greater than discomfort. Comfort feels good now, but it costs you your future. Discomfort feels painful now, but it builds you for tomorrow. Think about a butterfly. Before it becomes one, it's trapped inside a cocoon. To break free, it must struggle. If someone helps it by cutting the cocoon open, the butterfly will die because it never developed the strength to fly. The struggle is not punishment, it's preparation. Your discomfort is not a sign that you're failing, it's proof that you're growing. The pressure you feel, the fear that challenges you, the situations that stretch you, those are the tools life uses to shape your greatness. In everyday life, you can see this pattern. A student who stays up late to study instead of scrolling through social media grows in discipline. A worker who chooses to learn a new skill instead of relaxing after work grows in value. A person who dares to face rejection instead of staying silent grows in courage. The more you embrace discomfort, the wider your life expands. Because every time you step beyond what's comfortable, your world gets bigger. Comfort makes you feel safe, but it also makes you small. It's a beautiful prison. It gives you warmth, but it takes away your wings. People stay in toxic jobs, unhealthy relationships, and stagnant environments because they fear the unknown. They say, "At least I know what to expect here." But that's not living, that's surviving. The unknown is where the magic happens. It's where new opportunities, new strengths, and new versions of you are waiting. But you'll never meet them if you never leave your comfort zone. Life rewards the brave, not the comfortable. Every person who achieved something remarkable did it by stepping into discomfort. The entrepreneur who risked everything to start a business, the artist who faced criticism to share their work, the leader who stood alone for what was right, they all chose growth over comfort. They understood that comfort is seductive, but it keeps you average. Greatness demands discomfort. Success is uncomfortable because it requires you to do what most people won't. When you face discomfort, your mind will try to convince you to stop. It will whisper, "Why are you doing this? It's too hard. Take a break." That's when you must remind yourself that comfort is not your friend, it's your enemy. Comfort is trying to keep you from the life you deserve. Every time you push through discomfort, you silence that voice of limitation. Every time you resist the urge to quit, you strengthen your spirit. Growth feels like pain before it feels like progress. It feels like confusion before it feels like clarity. But if you keep moving, keep believing, keep pushing, one day you'll look back and realize that every difficult moment was building something inside you. You were being stretched, molded, refined into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. So when life gets uncomfortable, don't run from it. Lean into it. Discomfort is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's proof that you're on the path of transformation. It means you're stepping out of what's familiar and stepping into what's possible. Because the truth is, nothing grows in comfort zones. Only the brave, the willing, and the persistent ever see what's beyond. Fear is a master of disguise. It doesn't always come with trembling hands or racing hearts. Sometimes it wears the calm mask of logic. It sounds intelligent, reasonable, even protective. It whispers things like, maybe now isn't the right time, or you should wait until you're more prepared. It convinces you that you're being wise when in reality, you're being held hostage by hesitation. Fear is clever. It doesn't want you to see it as fear, because then you might fight it. Instead, it hides behind excuses that sound rational. And because they sound rational, you believe them. You tell yourself, I'm not afraid, I'm just being realistic. But that's how dreams die, not through failure, but through overthinking disguised as wisdom. Every single person who ever achieved something great had to confront this silent assassin. The voice that said, what if it doesn't work? What if they laugh at me? What if I fail? And do you know what separates the brave from the broken? It's not that the brave didn't hear those voices, they just refused to obey them. They recognized fear for what it was, a liar dressed as logic. In daily life, you can see how fear hides in plain sight. Imagine a person who wants to start a business. They've had the idea for years, maybe even decades. They tell themselves, I'm just waiting until I have enough money, or I need to do more research before I begin. It sounds responsible, right? But deep down, they're not waiting for resources. They're avoiding rejection. They're not doing more research. They're hiding behind the illusion of preparation. Fear has convinced them that caution equals wisdom, when in truth, it's just delay. And while they wait, someone else with less experience, less money, and less knowledge starts, learns along the way, and succeeds. That's the power of action over analysis. Fear loves to use logic as camouflage. It tells you not to take risks because you might lose everything. It tells you not to speak up because you might embarrass yourself. It tells you not to love again because you might get hurt. It builds a fortress of what ifs around your potential till you start believing safety is success. But safety and success are opposites. Safety keeps you where you are. Success takes you where you've never been. And that journey will always demand courage. Think about the student who dreams of studying abroad but tells themselves, it's too expensive, or what if I can't adjust? Yes, those thoughts sound practical, but at the core, they're driven by fear. Fear of failure, fear of change, fear of stepping into the unknown. Fear often pretends to be the voice of reason when it's actually the voice of limitation. You'll find the same pattern in relationships, careers, even personal growth. A person says, I'm not ready to lead, maybe someone else should. Another says, I'll wait until I'm more confident before I speak. But confidence doesn't come before action, it's born after. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. Fear will always give you a list of reasons to wait. It will never say, go now. It will never say, you can do this. That's not its nature. Fear's job is to keep you safe. Your job is to keep moving. There's a saying that the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Fear is often the exact indicator of where you should go next. The thing you're most afraid to do is usually the thing that will change your life the most. But instead of walking into that cave, most people build a house outside it and call it being smart. They convince themselves that waiting is wise. But waiting becomes wasting, and wasting becomes regret. In your everyday life, pay attention to the moments when your mind starts giving you reasons not to move. You'll notice that those reasons always appear when you're about to do something important. Start a new journey. Speak your truth. Take a risk. Leave your comfort zone. Fear doesn't attack mediocrity, it attacks purpose. It only fights you when you're getting close to something powerful. You might hear people say, I just want to be practical. But practicality without courage is just another word for fear. It's like standing on the edge of a mountain looking at the view and saying, maybe I shouldn't climb, what if it rains? And while you're thinking of all the reasons not to go, someone else starts climbing. And when the rain does come, they learn to dance in it. They adapt, they grow, and eventually they reach the top while you're still reasoning at the bottom. Fear will always have a story ready. It will always have logic to justify its presence. It will always sound convincing. But the question is, has that logic ever moved you forward? Has that reasoning ever helped you grow? Because if your logic keeps you stuck, it's not logic. It's fear pretending to be your friend. Think about how many opportunities people lose because they mistake fear for wisdom. They don't apply for that promotion because it's not the right time. They don't confess their feelings because it might ruin the friendship. They don't take that trip, that class, that leap because they're not ready. And then years pass and they realize the timing was never the issue. It was fear wearing a suit and tie, pretending to be common sense. Even in the smallest things, fear tries to sound logical. When you say, I'll start tomorrow, that's fear disguised as planning. When you say, I don't have enough time, that's fear disguised as priority. When you say, I'm too tired, that's fear disguised as self-care. Fear will always find the perfect costume to make you believe it's protecting you, when in truth it's preventing you. In the end, fear doesn't stop you from dying, it stops you from living. And the tragedy is, you'll never know how much potential was inside you until you stop listening to that logical voice that says, wait. Because waiting is safe, but safety is the enemy of growth. The people who create, inspire, lead, and transform the world, they feel fear too, but they recognize it. They don't let it reason them out of their calling. They hear it, they thank it for its concern, and they move anyway. That's what makes them unstoppable. Stop waiting for perfect timing because it does not exist. The idea of the perfect moment is a comforting illusion that keeps you stuck in the same place, waiting for stars to align, for circumstances to become ideal, for life to finally give you permission to begin. But life doesn't work like that. It never has. If you're waiting for everything to feel ready, you'll wait forever. The truth is, no one ever feels completely ready. People who change their lives, who chase their dreams, who make an impact, they all started before they were ready. They started scared, uncertain, and imperfect. They stumbled, they failed, they learned. But they began, and that's what made all the difference. In daily life, this happens so often. Someone says, I'll start the gym when I have more energy. Another says, I'll begin my business when I have enough money. Someone else says, I'll go after my dream when things calm down. But things rarely calm down. Money never feels enough, and energy doesn't appear magically. The truth is, life will always give you a reason to wait. There will always be something unfinished, something inconvenient, something that feels just a little off. If you keep waiting for perfect conditions, you'll miss the chance to create them. Think about how a child learns to walk. They don't wait until their legs are strong enough, their balance is perfect, or the ground is soft. They just try. They fall, cry, get up, and try again. And every stumble teaches them something. That's how progress happens. In motion, not in waiting. You cannot plan your way into greatness. You have to act your way into it. There's someone out there right now living the life you dream about. Not because they had more talent, money, or luck, but because they started. While you were waiting for the right time, they were building, learning, and growing. They understood something simple: the right time is now. Perfection is not preparation, perfection is progress. Every big success story started with a small, uncertain beginning. Think about the person who opens a cafe with barely enough savings. They don't wait to have the best location, the most beautiful furniture, or a perfect plan. They begin with what they have, where they are. They paint the walls themselves, serve coffee with love, and slowly build something beautiful. Contrast that with someone who keeps saying, someday, when I have enough money, I'll open my dream cafe. 5 years later, they're still talking, still waiting, still dreaming. But the person who started is now living that dream. Life rewards action, not intention. Ideas mean nothing without movement. You can read every book, attend every seminar, plan every detail, and still remain in the same place if you never start. It's easy to convince yourself that waiting is wisdom. But more often, waiting is fear in disguise. Fear of failing, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort. But the truth is, you will fail. You will be judged. You will be uncomfortable. And that's exactly how you grow. Look at the seasons. They never wait for perfect timing. Spring doesn't ask if the soil is ready before it blooms. It just blooms. Winter doesn't wait for permission to arrive. It comes, it teaches, it passes. The same law applies to your life. If you keep waiting for the ideal moment, you'll miss the beauty of your own becoming. The right time doesn't come to you. You create it through bold action. Think about the person who says, I'll start my fitness journey when I'm in better shape. That's like saying, I'll learn to swim when I can already swim. It doesn't make sense. You get stronger by starting, not by waiting. You gain clarity by walking the path, not by staring at it. Most people waste years preparing for a moment that would have changed their life had they just begun. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that we need more time. We don't need more time. We need more courage. The longer you wait, the louder the excuses become. The more you hesitate, the heavier the fear grows. Action breaks fear, but waiting feeds it. Every time you delay, you strengthen the voice inside that says you're not ready. And if you listen long enough, that voice becomes your truth. In relationships, people do this too. They say, I'll express my feelings when the right time comes. Or I'll fix things when things settle down. Sometimes that perfect time never arrives, and what could have been love becomes regret. Timing isn't the problem. It's hesitation. The right time is always when your heart tells you to act. People say, one day I'll travel, one day I'll write that book, one day I'll start that business. But one day is a disease that kills dreams slowly. One day turns into someday, and someday turns into never. If you want to change your life, you have to stop living for someday and start living for now. You can't wait for the storm to pass. You learn to dance in the rain. Think about inventors, artists, and leaders. They didn't wait for a perfect plan. Thomas Edison didn't wait for the perfect conditions to invent the light bulb. He failed 1,000 times and kept going. If he waited for the perfect experiment, we'd still be in the dark. If Martin Luther King waited for the perfect era to fight for justice, the world would have waited too long for freedom. They didn't wait for things to be easy. They moved when things were hard. You'll never be perfectly ready, perfectly prepared, or perfectly certain. You just have to start where you are, with what you have, and do what you can. The right moment is made, not found. It's made in the act of courage, in the willingness to take the first step while still afraid, in the choice to begin even when the odds are uncertain, because motion creates momentum, and momentum creates miracles. Look at your life right now. Everything you're proud of started with a single step, a decision to begin. And everything you regret started with waiting too long to move. You don't need all the answers to begin. You just need faith in the process. Faith that every stumble will teach you, every failure will strengthen you, and every small effort will lead you closer to your dream. The road may not be perfect, but it will be yours. And that's what makes it worth walking. Accountability is power because it puts your life back in your own hands. Most people go through life pointing fingers. They blame their parents for not giving them enough. They blame their boss for not seeing their potential. They blame the government, the economy, even the weather. But blame is the language of weakness. The moment you blame, you give away your power. You hand over the pen that writes your story to someone else. Accountability, on the other hand, is strength. It is standing in front of the mirror and saying, I am the reason things are the way they are, and I am the one who will change them. That statement alone shifts everything. It turns victims into victors. It turns dreamers into doors. When you take accountability, you stop waiting for rescue. You stop expecting someone else to fix your problems or open the doors for you. You begin to understand that no one is coming to save you. And that's not a bad thing, it's the best thing. Because when you realize that your progress, your growth, and your success depend on your decisions, you start to move differently. You stop complaining about the storm and start learning how to sail in it. You stop saying, why me? And start asking, what can I learn from this? Every setback becomes a classroom, every mistake becomes a teacher, and every failure becomes fuel. Look at your daily life. Think about how easy it is to say, I don't have time. But time is not lost, it's managed. Accountability means admitting that you chose other things instead of what mattered most. It's not about guilt, it's about awareness. When you say, I didn't make time to exercise, you are not weak, you are honest. And honesty is where transformation begins. You cannot change what you do not confront. People hide behind excuses because excuses feel safe. They protect the ego. But the truth is, excuses are walls that keep you trapped in the same cycle, living the same year over and over. Accountability is the hammer that breaks that wall. Think about your work. Maybe you're frustrated that you haven't gotten a promotion. Maybe you say, my boss doesn't appreciate me. But accountability says, what have I done to make myself undeniable? What extra value have I added? How have I improved my skills? Accountability forces you to look inward instead of outward. It replaces the question, who is stopping me, with how can I rise higher? And that shift changes everything, because the only thing you can truly control in this world is you, your attitude, your effort, your consistency. In relationships, accountability is equally powerful. It's easy to say, they made me angry or they hurt me. But accountability says, I chose how to respond. It doesn't mean you accept mistreatment. It means you take ownership of your emotions. You stop letting others control your peace. You understand that maturity is not reacting to everything that offends you. Accountability gives you emotional freedom. When you take responsibility for how you show up, you begin to attract people who respect you and mirror your energy. Accountability isn't about being perfect. It's about being aware. It's saying, yes, I made a mistake, but I will learn and grow from it. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and builders of history all carried this mindset. They didn't spend time blaming circumstances. They created circumstances. When something went wrong, they didn't say, it's not my fault. They said, it's my responsibility. And because of that, they stayed in control. Think about an athlete who loses a match. The weak one blames the referee, the weather, the crowd. The strong one says, I should have trained harder, focused better, adjusted faster. That attitude guarantees growth. Accountability gives you power because it keeps you in the driver's seat. If you believe everything is someone else's fault, then you're giving them control over your destiny. But if you take responsibility, you take the wheel of your own future. In daily life, accountability is in the small moments too. It's in choosing to wake up early even when no one is watching. It's in finishing what you said you would do even when you don't feel like it. It's in being honest about how your habits shape your results. If your finances are a mess, accountability means sitting down and learning how to manage them, not blaming the system. If your health is declining, accountability means changing your habits, not blaming genetics. When you take ownership of your actions, your mind opens to solutions. When you play the victim, your mind only sees problems. There's a man who always complained about his job, saying his boss was unfair. One day he decided to change his approach. He started coming in early, learning new skills, helping his team. Within months, his attitude attracted attention. His boss noticed and he got promoted. What changed? Not the environment. His accountability did. He stopped blaming and started becoming. That's the power of ownership. Accountability is not punishment, it's empowerment. It says, I have the power to change my story. And the moment you embrace that truth, the world begins to respond differently to you. Doors open not because luck changed, but because your mindset did. When you take accountability, you gain respect both from others and from yourself. People trust those who take ownership because ownership breeds credibility. And remember, accountability is not about taking blame for everything. It's about taking charge of your response to everything. Life will throw challenges your way. People will betray you. Opportunities will slip. Plans will fail. But accountability says, how I respond to this moment determines what happens next. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control how you react. That's real power. Most people wait for motivation to strike before they act. Accountable people act first and motivation follows. They don't wait to feel ready. They move and readiness appears along the way. Every time you take responsibility, you grow stronger. Every time you make an excuse, you give away a piece of your strength. The choice is simple but not easy. Excuses or power, blame or growth, comfort or change. Accountability is not a feeling, it's a decision. It's the decision to own your life completely, no matter what. Because only when you own it can you change it. Pain is temporary, regret is eternal. The pain you feel today is not meant to destroy you, it's meant to build you. Pain is the signal that growth is taking place. It's the price of transformation, the cost of becoming someone greater than you were yesterday. But the tragedy is that so many people quit in the season of pain, not realizing that their breakthrough was waiting on the other side of that discomfort. The pain you feel from discipline will fade, but the pain of regret will echo for a lifetime. Every dream that dies because of fear, every opportunity missed because of hesitation, every goal abandoned because it hurt too much to continue. That's the kind of pain that never leaves you. Look around in daily life and you'll see it everywhere. A student gives up studying because it's hard to stay awake, and years later, They wish they'd pushed through those sleepless nights. An athlete skips training because the body aches, and later they watch someone else win the medal they could have earned. A dreamer puts their idea aside because it seems too heavy to carry, and years later, they watch someone else bring that same idea to life. That's the kind of pain that doesn't go away. Regret sits quietly inside your heart, reminding you of the moments you surrendered too soon. Pain, on the other hand, is a teacher. It teaches you what you're made of. It doesn't lie to you. It doesn't flatter you. It refines you. When you go through pain, you meet a version of yourself that comfort could never introduce you to. The late nights, the failures, the heartbreaks, the rejections, those are not punishments. They are preparation. The fire you walk through today hardens your spirit for the challenges of tomorrow. Every successful person you admire has walked through pain. But what separates them from the rest is that they refused to stop when it hurt. They kept moving while others were crying. They turned pain into power. Think about the gym. When you lift weights, your muscles ache and burn. That burn is pain, but that same pain is proof that growth is happening. If you stop the moment it hurts, you never get stronger. The pain is what signals progress. The same is true in every area of life. Emotional pain, financial pain, spiritual pain, it all builds capacity if you endure it with purpose. You can't grow without discomfort. Pain stretches you beyond your limits, and that's where transformation begins. People often pray for strength, but strength doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It comes wrapped in trials. You can't become resilient if life is always easy. Pain introduces you to endurance. It teaches patience, humility, and gratitude. It shows you how to appreciate the good moments because you've tasted the bitter ones. The difference between the person who wins and the one who gives up isn't that one had it easier. It's that one was willing to suffer a little longer. In real life, everyone faces this moment. The student who's ready to quit school because exams feel impossible. The mother who's exhausted from balancing work and family. The entrepreneur drowning in debt and doubt. Pain visits all of them. It whispers, give up, it's not worth it. But pain lies, it's temporary. It fades when the reward arrives. The sleepless nights will end. The fatigue will fade. But the pride of pushing through will last forever. The taste of victory erases the memory of suffering. But the person who quits will carry the sting of what if forever. Think about a person who gives up on their dream because it's taking too long. Every day after that, they'll see someone else doing what they could have done. They'll feel the quiet ache of regret in their chest. They'll say, I could have been there. I could have made it. That's the pain that doesn't heal. Regret doesn't hurt your body. It eats your spirit. It's a slow burn that whispers, you stopped too soon. But the person who keeps going, who fights through pain, who refuses to surrender, one day they'll look back and say, it was worth it. They'll remember the sleepless nights, the tears, the failures, and smile because every scar became a story of survival. Pain eventually rewards those who respect it, but regret gives nothing. Pain ends when success begins, but regret begins when you stop trying. In daily life, you'll meet people who live comfortably but feel empty. They chose the easy path, the safe route. They avoided pain and ended up avoiding growth. They never stretched, never failed, never fought. And because of that, they never truly lived. Life without challenge is not peace. It's quiet regret disguised as comfort. Comfort feels good now, but costs you later. Pain feels bad now, but pays you later. Think about a person climbing a mountain. Halfway up, the air gets thinner, the muscles start screaming, and the temptation to turn back grows stronger. But if they stop there, they'll never see the view from the top. All they'll ever see is what they could have seen. But if they push through the pain, if they take one more step, when everything inside says stop, they reach the summit. And at that moment, all the pain that once felt unbearable becomes a memory of strength. The climb hurt, but the view was worth it. Life is like that climb. The path to success is steep, and pain is part of the process. But pain doesn't last forever. Storms don't last forever. Heartbreaks, losses, disappointments, they come, but they also go. The only thing that lasts forever is the regret of never trying. Pain fades when you grow stronger, but regret grows heavier with time. You can't escape pain, but you can choose your type of pain, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. You can endure the pain of waking up early, of pushing yourself, of working harder than everyone else. Or you can endure the pain of wishing you had. You can face the pain of learning from failure, or live with the regret of never risking failure. Every time you say, it's too hard, remember that so is living with regret. One lasts for a season, the other for a lifetime. Pain may test you for a while, but regret will haunt you forever. Every moment you choose to endure the struggle instead of quitting, you're rewriting your future. You're proving to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. You're becoming stronger, sharper, wiser. Pain is a test of your commitment to your dream. It asks, how bad do you want it? And your answer isn't in words, it's in endurance. The pain will pass, but the pride of pushing through will stay with you long after the wounds have healed. Execution separates the average from the extraordinary. It is the single factor that turns ideas into reality and dreams into legacies. Anyone can dream, anyone can plan, anyone can speak about what they want to achieve, but few actually take the steps necessary to make it happen. The world is full of people with brilliant ideas, but those ideas remain just ideas because they never execute. Execution is what separates the person who talks from the person who achieves, the spectator from the participant, the average from the extraordinary. Think about daily life examples. A student might dream of acing their exams, spending hours imagining the celebration, the recognition, the pride of success. But if they never open their books or write practice tests, the dream remains distant. The student who executes wakes up early, organizes their notes, studies consistently, and applies what they learn. Execution transforms potential into performance. Without action, potential is wasted, and without execution, talent is invisible. In business, execution is even more glaring. Countless people have had ideas for apps, restaurants, or inventions that could change lives, yet most of these ideas never leave the planning stage. They remain sketches on napkins, concepts in journals, or thoughts whispered in conversations. Meanwhile, someone with less knowledge but more courage and consistency takes imperfect steps, launches, fails, learns, iterates, and ultimately succeeds. Execution does not wait for perfection. It demands action. It rewards those willing to start, adjust, and persist. Execution is also what defines leadership. A person can have vision, charisma, and knowledge, but if they cannot implement, they cannot lead. A true leader acts. They turn strategies into results. They walk into the field with their team, make decisions under pressure, and face consequences. The leader who executes earns respect because people see action, not just words. Words inspire, but execution creates change. In creative fields, execution is equally critical. An artist can imagine masterpieces for years, but without picking up a brush, without applying paint to canvas, the art will never exist. The musician who writes songs in their head but never records them cannot touch anyone's soul. Execution is the bridge between thought and reality. Every masterpiece, every bestseller, every revolutionary idea was once just a thought, realized only because someone took steps to bring it into the world. In sports, execution is the difference between a champion and a spectator. A basketball player may visualize the perfect shot thousands of times, but without practicing hundreds of shots daily, without running drills, without conditioning, the vision never becomes a highlight. The sprinter who dreams of gold must train relentlessly, push past fatigue, and execute race after race. The path of excellence is paved with repetitive action, not idle imagination. Execution also requires discipline. It demands consistency even when motivation fades. The person who acts when they feel like it occasionally may achieve small wins, but the person who executes daily achieves greatness. Execution is about forming habits, following routines, and taking responsibility for completing what others abandon. It is about refusing to let fear, distraction, or excuses stop you from moving forward. Execution is courage in motion, determination applied, and ideas manifested. Look at ordinary people achieving extraordinary results through execution. The single parent who works multiple jobs while attending evening classes is executing on a vision of a better life. The entrepreneur who invests late nights and early mornings into a fledgling business is executing against doubt and competition. The writer who types every day, no matter the distractions, is executing toward a published book. All of them prove that execution does not require perfection, only persistence. Execution is also about learning from failure and adjusting. It is not blind action. It is purposeful action that incorporates observation, feedback, and improvement. Someone may launch a project and fail repeatedly, but each failure teaches lessons that refine the next attempt. The person who executes transforms setbacks into stepping stones, while the one who only plans or dreams remains stagnant. Execution is dynamic. It evolves with experience, constantly adapting toward the goal. Even in relationships, execution matters. A person may talk about being a good friend, spouse, or parent, but unless they act, show up, listen, care, support, the words mean little. Execution is demonstrated through effort, attention, and consistent presence. Extraordinary relationships are built not on promises, but on actions repeated over time. People remember what you did, not what you said you would do. In essence, execution is a commitment to reality. It is the refusal to let fear, procrastination, or uncertainty dominate your choices. It is showing up every day, taking imperfect steps, and pushing forward regardless of doubt. Extraordinary results are rarely born from inspiration alone. They are born from implementation. The ordinary remain ordinary because they wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect idea. The extraordinary create the perfect outcome by executing relentlessly. Execution transforms time into progress. It transforms energy into achievement. It transforms ideas into impact. Every remarkable success story, every groundbreaking invention, every life-changing movement was once just a thought, realized because someone refused to stay in the realm of imagination. They took action. They executed. And that is why in life, the difference between average and extraordinary is not talent, intelligence, or opportunity. It is execution. The person who acts stands out because while others are still dreaming, they are building, creating, and living their vision. Your destiny depends on your decisions because every choice you make shapes the trajectory of your life. It's easy to think that life happens to you, that circumstances and other people determine your future, but that is a lie we tell ourselves to feel safe. The truth is, the power to create change and achieve rests in your hands, in the decisions you make today. Every action you take, every opportunity you embrace, every risk you accept, and even every refusal you make writes a line in the story of your life. The people who live extraordinary lives are not the luckiest or the most talented. They are the ones who decided to act, to move, and to step into their calling regardless of fear, doubt, or uncertainty. In daily life, you see this truth constantly. Consider a young professional deciding whether to take a challenging project at work. They may think, maybe I'm not ready, or what if I fail? The safe choice is to decline and maintain comfort. But the decision to embrace the challenge could open doors they never imagined. The decision itself, not the outcome, begins to shape their destiny. One choice to act over hesitation puts them on a path of growth, learning, and future opportunities, while inaction keeps them stagnant. It is in these small daily decisions that greatness quietly begins to form. Think about someone who dreams of starting a business. The excuses appear immediately. I don't have enough money. I don't know enough. The market is too risky. These excuses delay action and postpone destiny. Meanwhile, another person with the same dream, same resources, same doubts, chooses to start anyway. They take imperfect steps, they learn from mistakes, they adapt, and their destiny begins to move. The difference is not luck. It is the conscious decision to act despite fear. Action activates purpose, hesitation delays it. Your decisions also define your habits, and your habits define your life. Consider the person who decides each morning to wake up early and work on their goals versus the one who decides to hit snooze repeatedly. One is building momentum and progress, the other is nurturing stagnation. Small decisions compound over time. The decision to read for 30 minutes, to save a portion of your income, to speak up in meetings, to say yes to challenges instead of comfort. These are the choices that transform ordinary existence into extraordinary destiny. The choices you make every day accumulate into a life story that reflects either courage or compromise. Look at relationships. Your destiny in life is heavily influenced by the people you surround yourself with, and that is also a decision. Choosing friends who encourage, challenge, and inspire you propels you forward. Choosing to invest in your family and be present strengthens the legacy you leave. Conversely, deciding to tolerate negativity, jealousy, or laziness drains your energy and derails your potential. Every social choice you make either accelerates your purpose or delays it. Your destiny is not only shaped by what you do, it is shaped by who you allow into your life and the decisions you make in response to them. Decisions are also about courage and ownership. It's easy to blame circumstances when things don't go right, but each choice you make reveals your character. Choosing to act despite fear, to keep moving despite setbacks, to continue learning despite failures. These are the decisions that forge resilience. Someone might fail repeatedly, but each decision to try again strengthens them. Those who never decide to rise remain stuck, while those who choose courage transform struggle into a stepping stone. Your destiny does not require perfection. It requires decision, persistence, and ownership. Even in everyday responsibilities, decisions shape outcomes. A person decides to exercise regularly, eat healthy, and care for their body. They are actively investing in longevity, energy, and well-being. Another chooses convenience, excuses, and delay. They pay the consequences with fatigue, illness, and lost potential. The decision to act in small, consistent ways compounds over time. Success is rarely a single giant leap. It is a series of conscious decisions made daily, each one moving you closer to the life you desire. The moments when excuses seem reasonable are the exact moments when decisions matter most. I'll start tomorrow. I'm too tired today. Maybe later. These are the phrases that quietly delay destiny. The person who consistently decides to act now instead of later builds momentum that cannot be easily broken. They understand that their future is not a matter of luck or circumstance. It is a direct reflection of the decisions they make in every moment. Action activates purpose. Inaction only postpones it. Consider the student who dreams of attending college abroad. They may have limited resources, fear rejection, or feel unprepared, but each decision they make, applying for scholarships, studying diligently, networking, seeking guidance, determines whether that dream becomes reality. The excuses could be overwhelming, but the decisions to act despite the obstacles are what open doors. The student who chooses to act, even imperfectly, begins a journey that shapes not only education but character, confidence, and future opportunity. Your destiny also responds to the decisions you make under pressure. In moments of difficulty, it is the conscious choices to persevere, to stay disciplined, to refuse shortcuts, and to keep integrity intact that define your future. The easiest path often offers immediate relief but long-term regret. The harder path chosen intentionally builds character and paves the way to extraordinary results. Every choice matters because it compounds, shapes perception, and sets the stage for what comes next. Ultimately, the secret is understanding that waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, or the perfect plan is a trap. There is no perfect timing. There is only the decision you make now to step forward, to act, to embrace responsibility for your future. Your excuses may whisper, "Wait, not now," but destiny waits for no one. Each decision, each act of courage, each refusal to accept delay activates the life you were meant to live. The reality is that action is the engine that turns possibility into reality, while hesitation and excuses only build walls around potential. The moment you take responsibility and make decisive choices, you begin to shape a life that reflects your purpose, vision, and highest potential. Now, as we stand at the edge of possibility, let me remind you that nothing great in history was ever achieved by waiting for someone else to do it for you. The truth is, the world does not hand out opportunities on a silver platter. The world rewards action, courage, and relentless determination. The people who changed the course of history did not wait for perfect conditions. They created their own. They stepped into the fire when others ran from it. They embraced the struggle when others ran from discomfort. They acted while others were still dreaming. And that is the defining line between the average and the extraordinary, between those who live small lives and those who leave legacies that echo across generations. You may feel fear, doubt, or uncertainty right now. That is natural. It is human. But understand, this fear is not a sign that you are weak. Fear is a sign that you are on the threshold of something powerful. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act in spite of fear. Every single great achievement, every single life-changing transformation began with someone facing fear and saying, "I will move forward anyway." Think of Michael Jordan, who missed thousands of shots before he became legendary, who faced defeat repeatedly but refused to quit. Think of Thomas Edison, who failed more than 1,000 times before the light bulb illuminated the world. Their stories are reminders that the path to greatness is paved with persistence, resilience, and the unwavering commitment to continue. And you too are standing at your own threshold. You have ideas, dreams, and visions that are waiting to be brought to life. The only thing standing between you and your destiny is action. The only thing standing between you and your breakthrough is the decision to move, to execute, to refuse excuses, and to take ownership of your life. Do not underestimate the power of small, consistent steps. A single action today, repeated daily, compounds into results that can change the course of your entire life. The person who decides to try, even when it is difficult, even when it is uncomfortable, is the one who achieves. Remember, nobody will fight for your dreams the way you can. Nobody will invest in your vision your passion, or your purpose with the same intensity and dedication that you can. Excuses are comfortable, but they are deadly. They may soothe the ego for a moment, but they steal your future. The moment you stop rationalizing and start acting is the moment you reclaim your power. Do not wait for permission to pursue your goals. Do not wait for luck, timing, or validation. The universe responds to action. It bends in favor of the person who refuses to remain passive. Your choices, your courage, your decisions, these are what create destiny. In life, there will be critics, there will be naysayers, and there will be moments when everything seems against you. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is that the successful never let the voices of doubt define them. They understand that greatness does not emerge from comfort zones, but from the willingness to endure, to persist, and to act when others hesitate. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she was unfit for television. Steve Jobs was fired from the very company he built. But each of them chose to rise above, to execute their vision despite opposition, to persist in the face of ridicule. And that is exactly what you are called to do today. Look closely at your life, your goals, and your potential. The opportunities are not hiding from you. They are waiting for you to step into them. Your ideas are not worthless. They are seeds that need the soil of action to grow. Your talents are not accidental. They are instruments for the contribution only you can make. Do not squander them by waiting, by doubting, or by hesitating. The world does not pause for those who procrastinate. It moves and it rewards the brave. Every decision you make, every action you take is shaping your legacy. Think about the words of Tony Robbins. The path to success is to take massive, determined action. Every great leader, every influential figure, every pioneer understood this truth. Martin Luther King did not wait for equality to be convenient. He marched, spoke, and risked everything. J.K. Rowling did not wait for publishers to believe in her. She wrote tirelessly, facing rejection after rejection. Their lives teach us that action creates momentum, momentum creates opportunity, and opportunity creates destiny. And let us not forget the wisdom of Les Brown, who reminds us that you must be willing to do what others will not do, to have what others will not have. Your comfort is not your destiny. Your excuses are not your path. Your hesitation is not your future. You are called to act, to rise, to persevere, to execute with relentless focus. Every setback, every failure, every criticism is an opportunity to learn, to strengthen, and to refine your path. They are not barriers. They are invitations to grow stronger and move faster. So today, take responsibility for your life with unshakable resolve. Refuse the voice of doubt. Refuse the lure of comfort. Refuse the temptation to postpone action. Understand that every step you take, every decision you make is a building block of your future. Your dreams are waiting not for perfect timing, but for your courage. Your goals are waiting not for ideal conditions, but for your commitment. Your life is waiting not for approval, but for your execution. Remember the words of Les Brown again, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. Aim high, act boldly, and refuse to settle for anything less than your full potential. And in the quiet moments when fear whispers, remind yourself that pain is temporary, but regret lasts forever. The discomfort you feel now is a signal that you are moving toward growth. The struggle you endure today is shaping the strength, resilience, and character of tomorrow. Every great success story was written by someone who refused to quit, who refused to make excuses, who refused to be average. They acted when it was hard. They executed when it seemed impossible, and they persisted when others stopped. Your story can be the same because the power to act is already within you. Take this moment right now to make a decision. Decide to stop waiting. Decide to stop hesitating. Decide to stop letting fear, doubt, or comfort control your life. Decide to execute, to act, to take full responsibility for the destiny you desire. Remember, the world belongs to the doers, not the dreamers. To the relentless, not the resigned. To those who rise despite obstacles, not those who remain passive. As Jim Rohn said, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Be better, act now. Move with purpose. Refuse excuses. Get it done. Your future, your legacy, your greatness all begin the moment you choose action over hesitation, courage over fear, and execution over doubt.